I didn't think that this government's continual cucking out to Israel could get any worse than it already has been. But this was news that broke last week, and it's been confirmed that it's now happening as of tomorrow. And that is that Keir Starmer is going to invite Israel's president, Isaac Herzog, the president who signed bombs to get dropped on Gazan children, to number 10. He's going to be meeting, apparently, with both Yvette Cooper, the new foreign secretary, and Keir Starmer, the president who said that everybody in Gaza was not innocent, that there were no innocents in Gaza. That's what he specifically said at a time when Israel was being accused of genocide. He openly supports things such as settlements in the West Bank and the broader idea of the Greater Israel Project. He is fully endorsing the kind of expansionary program that Netanyahu supports. And he's being invited during the genocide to speak to Keir Starmer and Yvette Cooper. The fact that this guy isn't being invited so that we can arrest him for crimes against humanity that he has been complicit in as Israeli president. No. We're going to invite him over just to have a chat with our heads of government and our foreign secretary. Just more war criminal photo ops for Starmer. Although, to be fair, this was the same war criminal that Keir Starmer took a phone call with before mysteriously the SNP's motion got stopped from being heard on Opposition Day in Parliament because of Speaker Lindsay Hoyle. Isn't that weird that that happened at the same time, isn't it? Anyway. Number 10 has said that Sir Keir will raise the intolerable situation in Gaza and the action Israel must take to end the horrific suffering we're witnessing with the Israeli president. And I'm sure they're going to listen. I'm sure that they're going to listen for the 15,000th time that you've said, this is intolerable, please stop being mad and killing Gazans, right? And of course they will definitely not listen, given that Israel literally just assassinated the negotiators, or at least one of the negotiators, that was in Doha to speak with the Israeli negotiators to try and find a ceasefire. Israel is not interested in peace. It's not interested in a ceasefire. It is interested in the expansion of its territory, of the ethnic cleansing of the Palestinians, and of gaining more land in Judea and Samaria, as they would describe it, to create the Greater Israel Project and to engage in their decades-long Lebensraum program of expansion. That's what they are interested in. If they were interested in peace, they would not be trying to assassinate people who are negotiating for a ceasefire to try and come towards peace and an end to the conflict. And Isaac Herzog is clear in all of his statements that he supports everything that the current government is doing. He is in no way oppositional to Netanyahu, which again, it shows you that A, there is no such thing as liberal Zionism. That is a contradiction in terms. You cannot have liberal colonial ethno-statism with genocide characteristics. That's not a liberal position. Fun fact. And second of all, it's not a Netanyahu problem. It is an Israel problem. It is a Zionism problem. That's the issue here. And the fact that he's being invited to speak to Keir Starmer, it is an absolute damning indictment on this government. And it just shows you also how stupid they are, that they think that they can just convince this guy with words, when in reality, the only thing that Israel will listen to is force. They will listen to material changes to policy with regards to what Israel does. They will only respond when they are materially harmed by trade sanctions, by diplomatic sanctions, by an expulsion of the ambassador, by removal of any dealings with them internationally. You have to isolate these people and show them that you mean business, like Pedro Sanchez is doing right now, with full embargoes on things like arms, or no trading at all with anything that's related to settlements in the West Bank, a bunch of other 9 measures that they've got there in Spain to try and break the link between Spain and Israel, because they are the least pro-Israel country in Europe. We could be doing that, and we are choosing not to do so. We are choosing to write strongly worded letters because Keir Starmer is pathetic. He's absolutely pathetic. 60 MPs and peers, including members of Labour, the Greens and SNP, are calling the government to deny Herzog entry to the UK to avoid the risk of being complicit in genocide in Gaza under the terms of the UN treaty. Except we are already complicit because we've been selling the weapons and training the soldiers and flying the flights from RAF Akrotiri and sharing the intelligence. So we're already being complicit, but this is just an extra level of complicity that this current government is going to engage in by inviting Mr. War Criminal over to the UK to be able to have a chinwag, to hobnob with Keir Starmer and Yvette Cooper. Isaac Herzog does not have executive powers, and his officer said that he is visiting the UK to show solidarity with the Jewish community, which is under severe attack and facing a wave of anti-Semitism. And whilst it's not untrue that anti-Semitism has gone up in its truest form, there is also plenty of disinformation about the reality of what is or is not an anti-Semitic attack. Whilst actual anti-Semitic attacks have increased. A lot of the big increase people are talking about is just an increase in anti-Israel sentiment, which is not the same as anti-Semitism. Again, this is broadly folded into the narrative that Israel want to go with to make them seen as the bulwark against Islamism coming from the East. That is the explicit strategy of the current Israeli government, given that they've seen that European attitudes to Israel are souring, and they believe that their only method of being able to turn the tide of anti-Israel sentiment is by trying to foment Islamophobia, by trying to tie it to anti-Semitism because of people's opposition to Israel. That's what people like the Campaign for Anti-Semitism, or Campaign Against Anti-Semitism rather, are talking about when they try and impugn people who are being anti-Israel as being anti-Semitic. It's all part of a strategy. It's all part of a strategy to try and fold in both left-wing politics and the Muslim communities in this country being anti-Semitic, so that you can try and drive a wedge to get more Israel support in the country. That's the plan of the Israeli government, as was released by Dropsite News. I spoke about it yesterday on stream. Interestingly, future leadership candidate, essentially, Wes Streeting, seems to be taking a stronger line on this. It's almost like he knows which way the wind is blowing. Wes Streeting has said that Herzog must answer allegations being levelled at the Israeli government over its actions in Gaza. I think he needs to answer the allegations of war crimes, of ethnic cleansing and of genocide that are being levelled at the government of Israel, he told Times Radio. I think he needs to explain how, when we have seen so much evidence of the atrocities being perpetrated by the Israeli army, how he can possibly claim that the IDF is the most moral army in the world. I think he should explain that. It is not the intent of the government of Israel to perpetrate genocide or ethnic cleansing. How on earth does he think his Israeli government is going to achieve its stated aim of clearing Palestinians out of Gaza without the war crimes, without ethnic cleansing, or even without genocide? Which is a stronger line from Wes Streeting, of all people, than Yvette Cooper and Keir Starmer, who are meeting with Isaac Herzog. The fact that Wes Streeting is siding with the left on this one should show you that it's very, very clear-cut, the reality of what's going on here. It should show you that the reality is incredibly, incredibly clear-cut. But, of course, that does not have any bearing on government policy, whatever Wes Streeting says, right? Not even McShitter can get Cooper and Starmer to change their position on this, because David Lammy's last action as Foreign Secretary before the reshuffle was to deny the genocide in Gaza. David Lammy's explicit position as the last act as Foreign Secretary was to put out this letter to Sarah Champion MP challenging him on the existence of genocide in Gaza, essentially to say, lol, no. I don't think there is. Jog on. That's the reality of this Labour government. They are genocide deniers. David Lammy, as Foreign Secretary, just bloodied his hands with genocide and then said, lol, no, not a genocide. I'm leaving. I'm going to be Deputy PM now. And I quote, "The government has carefully considered the risk of a genocide, including when permitting exports to the F-35 global programme. The high civilian casualties, including women and children, and the extensive destruction in Gaza are utterly appalling. Israel must do much more to prevent and alleviate the suffering that the conflict is causing. As per the Genocide Convention, the crime of genocide occurs when there is specific intent to destroy or in whole or in part a national, ethnic, racial or religious group. The government has not concluded that Israel is acting with that intent because it's lying. Because the government is lying. Because it's obvious that the intent was there. We've had statement after statement after statement. We have a whole cadre of genocide scholars have come forward to describe it as genocide. But David Lammy knows better, because of course he can't admit that it is, otherwise he would have to admit that the F-35 parts are going to facilitate genocide, and that the flights from RAF Akrotiri are assisting in a genocide, or we are actually training the people, the genocidaires themselves, in this country. He knows that he would be implicated if he did admit and conclude that it was a genocide, so he has to say that it isn't. And that's the reality. We deny the genocide, and we invite the genocidaires over for tea. Thank you, Labour. Well done. Brilliant. Hey there, if you enjoyed the video, make sure that you like and leave a comment. That helps the video out in the algorithm. If you subscribe and ring the bell, it'll let you know when I go live. I stream every day on YouTube and Twitch. You can also follow all of my socials down in the description. And if you want to support me in a more financial manner, there's a join button for membership. It's just 99p to be a member on YouTube, as well as a Patreon, and there's some merch there as well. And hopefully I'll catch you on the next video. Take care.